I want to touch on during this chat is the importance of mentorship. I also like to talk a little bit about veganism. I'd also like to talk a little bit about consciousness and the unconscious and that sort of stuff. So those are just like, but obviously I'm sure we will go off on tangents, but I knew that those are three areas of interest that interest you and me, and you probably know quite a bit more than me about some of that stuff.
Loads about it. I'm so knowledgeable.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking aside.
Now, I can edit this bit out if you want me to. Are you happy for me to tell people why I know you? Yeah. So, Nick was my sponsor, is my sponsor, otherwise known as a mentor, in my recovery program, and he was a very important part of continues to be an important part of my recovery journey, that's kind of why I wanted to bring him on, because this podcast is really about new ways of thinking, spirituality, a little bit about sort of addiction, why do we become addicted, alternative ways of living life, alternative modes of living life, and the idea is obviously getting people on this show that know a little bit more about this stuff than I do, and not forcing any sort of opinions down anybody's throats, but just having a general chat. So what do you want to talk about?
Football?
Oh, I don't know anything about football.
Okay.
We were just talking about...
we were talking about the dark web, what's available on the dark web, and that sort of got us into talking about what we can buy there, and if only we'd known about the dark web when we were sniffing lots of cocaine, we'd have found some really good stuff rather than the 40 quid pub grub. But anyway, maybe that's not quite the topic we're looking for.
Well, no, that is...
But that does lead you to down the path where some people, it gives you enough pain, doesn't it, to actually want to make some changes in your life, positive changes, which is pretty much how we met, really, isn't it? Long and short of it, mate, that was it.
I think one of the reasons I picked you as a sponsor was, I don't know, I didn't actually know that much about your story as to why you ended up in recovery, but clearly there was something where now I've got to know you a bit more and why you ended up there. I still don't know everything, but I think it sounds like we had quite similar ways in which we used alcohol and drugs. Can you potentially just quickly talk me through what? It was 8 years now, yeah.
2010 August 31st. So it'll be 10 years in August. Yeah.
10 years.
Yeah. No drink. Yeah.
That's
Sober.
What was there a certain moment which brought you to your knees? What was your journey into recovery?
Rubbish cocaine. I think with me it was just. It's just multiple of years building up of just getting more and more feeling sick and tired of doing the same shit, for want of a better phrase, and knowing that there's this sort of uncomfortable feeling inside, but not knowing how to sort of deal with that, and the only way really, having a way of dealing with it through drinking drugs, and but the problem obviously is years of abusing that. It takes you to a point where it's you get to sort of the jumping off place that we talk about that in recovery, don't we? We get to the end of the road, if you like, and there's you can go that way or that way, and that way is looking pretty rough, and prisons or institutions or even death potentially carrying on, and it's just like a crossroads, isn't it? And I think for one reason or another, mate, I'd had enough. And my last drink and drug was a fairly heavy bender, but it wasn't anything unlike I'd had before. And I just remember looking out the window of the flat that I was living in at the time, just thinking of all the people enjoying their day. It was a nice hot summer's day, August 31st, and I'm just thinking, it's just, I can't do it anymore. Just can't do it. And my good friend, mutual friend Lewis, sort of introduced me to the fellowship, and that was it really. That was like the beginning of the journey. I just sort of threw the towel in. I just had enough. Rang the CA helpline, and they got me into the first meeting, and then shortly after that went to AA about 6 months on. But it's just, I think it's just knowing. We talk about like irritable, restless discontent. Is that to the absolute extreme, and not having any other way of dealing with it, but just to get out of our heads on drink and drugs, isn't it? And, you know, what else do you do in our society? You know, as I said to you before, like if the dark web was there, my brother went to South America shortly after I came into recovery, and he said, mate, if you'd have gone there, you blatantly would have probably killed yourself. You know, it makes it sort of all you can snort bars and clubs and stuff like that. It sounded fantastic, even in early recovery.
You can snort.
Yeah, it's literally like apparently all you can snort, you can queue up, and so
Wow.
So for me, pain was the teacher, and that's what taught me or showed me that, you know, this way's not working. What's the other options? And that was the available option at the time. And a friend of a friend gave me a big booking around that time. You know, there's a few little synchronistic things. Obviously, Lewis had sowed a seed with me about the fellowship, and it just seemed a sort of logical next step. We always think with logic, but probably it's deeper than that, isn't it? It's like a bit of a calling, maybe. But
well, HP, isn't it? Like people say, it's probably HP that kind of
exactly.
brought me in. Obviously, it helps if you know. I was similar in that I had a friend that introduced me to the rooms, but
that's what we say.
There are forces that are
exactly.
working
You know, and you know, don't know necessarily. Like, it's hard to paint a picture. Like I think from like a human perspective. From my perspective, human perspective, it's actually quite difficult to give a human narrative of actually, or paint a picture of what that looks like. And I don't think it really can be done, really, and I don't think it needs to be done either. I think we just sort of have that trust of the inner intuition, which, for me, is there, but it can also feel like it's not there as well. And I think
you're not connected.
it can also feel unconnected as well, mate. And it's quite, you can get to that place really quickly, and that can either be through resentment or a fear. It's normally a combination of the both, isn't it? We know. And you feel like, you know, you're all alone again, and you know, you're seething resentment about something that's happened. And it might be something really minuscule, like someone's licked you the wrong way, or cut you up at a roundabout, or something small like that. And of course, one resentment leads to another, and all of a sudden you've got 10 packing big ones behind you, and you're not in the sunlight of the spirit anymore, and you're thinking that everyone's against you, and this is just rubbish to be here. And but I think that feeling of that higher power, inner power, the oneness, the consciousness, whatever you want to call it, we've got access to that. We're connected to that all the time, aren't we? I think, and when we're quiet enough in the mind, we can really feel like. I've really felt that I've had strong feelings of a connection to that, and I think I base my recovery on that. In all honesty, I base my recovery on how well I'm feeling in my mind, and how many resentments, and how busy my mind is, and how content and happy I feel just chilling and doing my thing. And there's a lot of things in society and of our own doing that can take us out of that alignment, and it's just sort of keeping tabs on that, and we have a program to deal with this in the form of step 10s and and a few other things, which is really useful as well.
But it's not like all of a sudden once you put drink and drugs down that, you know, you talked about pain as the teacher, didn't you? And the program teaches us that our problems are of our own making, and that, you know, Yeah, I mean, for me, and I know from you've told me a little bit about kind of early recovery around like dating and, you know, food, and, you know, for me it's still like, you know, we've joked that we have seats in different fellowships, really.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I don't even know the exact number, but there's tens of fellowships.
And there's 200 in America.
200.
Yeah, I think I need to go to America and go to every single one and become a member and get service at every.
There's a fellowship for being addicted to fellowships.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I think I told you that, didn't I?
All right.
Okay. I think it's true though.
Yeah. But yeah, it's an ever evolving journey. It's like. I mean, it's funny. You were just telling me on the sofa there as well that Lewis, our friend, was saying that you were very much like me.
Yeah.
Can you say, like, in terms of early
Yeah,
days?
but no, it's so true, mate. Like when you first stop drinking and drugging, like you're sort of looking for everything external, aren't you, to try and help you to nourish that sort of like that angst, that irritable, restless, discontent and fear. And it's like it comes in the form of all sorts of things, and as you said, like food or sex or relationships or. Like, I think I watched The Matrix like nearly 30 times, mate. You know, just anything to get me away from the feeling myself and being in my own skin. And I think until you embark on the steps, certainly from our perspective, that's been the most, I would say, impactful, most powerful thing that we've done. There's loads and loads and loads of other ways in which you can get sober, and I know lots of people have done amazing things. They haven't done the 12 steps, so
yeah, it's
a pathway into sort of spirituality or you know, at least being sober.
Like smart recovery.
Yeah, no, there's heaps of stuff, and I worked with a guy in Australia, and he was a born again Christian, and he was an ex-heroin addict or crack addict, I can't remember now, but an Irish guy, and you know, and he found Jesus, you know, and who are we to say that that's not the? Yeah, he was absolutely enthralled with it. He absolutely loved his life. He was one of the happiest, most content people I've ever met. He was a plasterer in Sydney. Yeah, but he loved Jesus. That's cool. So I'm not even.
The way you just said that was so good. Like, he was a plasterer and loved Jesus, and he was.
Yeah.
But it's like you just got. But that's the thing.
He was talking Jesus in like prayer time while we're rendering houses in Sydney. I'm like, what's going on here? And then from like job to job, we'd have like Jesus music and stuff like that. And maybe we're getting a bit on the Jesus thing here, but I actually went along to Hillsong, which is a very well-known born-again Christian church, and open-minded, mate. I want to stay open-minded. I don't want to be closed-minded and narrow-minded to things. And you know, I like to talk about different ways in which people can find their spirituality and stuff. And I went along. It wasn't for me, but I actually checked into Hillsong. They had a world conference or convention in Tottenham Court Road. And I popped in there just on the off chance I was passing, and I felt a little bit of a calling to go in. So you know, who knows? Yeah. Who knows? But going back to your original thing of just anything to nourish the, you don't know it until you get through the process of our steps. I don't know if you mind me going on about our steps a bit, but obviously that's how we met and how we found our sobriety and so on.
Yeah.
You know, you just sort of, you're looking for anything external, and you realise after a period of time, when you get into the core of our program, that it really is an inside job, isn't it? And what we mean by that is like it's sort of fixing the internal condition, or at least realising that pretty much the ego, left unchecked, is running the show, and is going to cause havoc and grief. And it thinks it knows best, and it's defiant, and it's always right, and it thinks that, you know, and you know, it's caused issues for everyone. But I think the difference is with people like us is like, there's only so much pain threshold I've got, and I'm gonna look something else externally to fix that thing that the ego thinks that it needs to fix, that hole in the soul. And so I think so.
One thing, like, I was chatting with someone about this the other day, was that because of the decision, I think when you're sort of in recovery, and you become a little bit kind of one thing that I struggle with a bit is decision making, and I wonder whether that comes from a place of fear of, well, I used to make such terrible decisions, why would this decision be a good one for me? Or you know, like there's that indecisiveness sort of thing.
Are you reading Just for Today?
Yes. Hurry and indecision. Yeah. Yeah.
It's true, isn't
That's
it?
that ego thing that
I think I less relate to that. I think I'm more just the one to. I feel like I'm more of a person to go, bang, I'm going to do that and see what happens.
Yeah.
And I think I'm probably. I don't think that's any more spiritual or anything like that. It's just the way I am. It's just, bang, I'll try that and see if it goes. I'll try something else, and I'll keep trying things until I find. I think that's what I've done with jobs. I was saying to a guy last night, if I had a genuine CV, I don't think any company would give me a job. I know rigorous honesty, but honestly, mate, it would be huge. An honest CV, and I've had so many different jobs. Because ultimately, every time I get into a job, I sort of think after a little while, it's all right, but it doesn't really feel like the best thing I can be doing. I feel like there's better use of my time than measuring houses, maybe, or showing people, or cutting trees down, or cleaning leaves up from the floor, or delivering mail, all of which are really useful vocations, and we need to do them in our society. And I've done so many different, variations of.
I think something you mentioned the other day to me was, you're like, does it actually matter what we do? Which kind of goes back to what you said about your mate who's a plasterer and loves Jesus and he's super happy. Like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and yet our ego, or like our ego, inflated sense of what we should have, can really kind of
sense of entitlement, greed and gluttony and all that comes in, doesn't it?
Yeah. But actually what the program teaches us, that being of service in any capacity, is not only good for us, but it's
good for the world, isn't it? It's good for everyone, mate, because we're all connected, as they say, mate. We are all connected, whether we think we are or not. Apparently this is what they keep telling us. They can't all be wrong. From a human perspective, we don't think like that, do we? We think, obviously we're not connected, we're separate. He's a different colour skin, or sort of girl or boy, and we don't think like that. It's Muslim or Christian. It's all separation of isn't it? But when you take all that away, and you unravel all of that and take off like the bodysuit, what is there underneath? Pretty much love, isn't it? Really, when you get rid of all the other bullshit and baggage that goes with it. And I think we long for connection. We really do as humans. We long for connection, and I think that's why AA works so well. Is because we have that common bond and we get that sense of connection there, don't we? And it's really nourishing, isn't it, for the soul? Yeah. I think otherwise you sort of query, especially some cities like London and other places in the world where you just sort of like, you're doing your job, doing your thing, and you're too busy for chit-chat in the lift or whatever, or chit-chat to a postman or delivery driver. It's just, I'm too busy, mate, I'm too busy, And I've been like that, and I prefer my life when I'm less busy with work-related stuff, and that I can just, because, just by having a chat with someone is being of service, isn't it? By being nice to people, by being polite and saying please and thank you and all this sort of stuff. It makes you feel good, doesn't it?
We live in this busy mindset. It's like being busy is I'm busy.
Yeah.
I'm really busy.
I've got a lot going on.
Mate, I'm busy. I am busy.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't have a minute to stop and say hello to you, or particularly in London. Yeah, it is. That is definitely something I hadn't realised I was longing for.
Yeah.
Was a connection with people that would love me regardless, even if that was tough love.
Yeah.
It was like they'd love me regardless. And that's the main thing. It's just like somewhere I could go. It's like, well, I guess that's what the pub and what drinking was kind of facilitating, but actually it was what I thought was connection was disconnection.
But actually it's not in a way, is it? Because we do, it's like in our book we say conviviality among friends, and that is really what you get in the pub. You get that sense of connection and belonging and oneness, and you're feeling like you're all together.
Yeah.
It's no different to doing like bags of Charlie with your mates. You just chat shit for hours, but you're having a lovely time. It's no different, isn't it? I think when you drop the facades and all the things that we just spoke about, like we just want to connect and just kind of like love each other really, and the more I do that, the better I feel. I know for a fact, man. The more I do that, the more I focus on what I can get out of a situation, or how much money I can earn here, or where's this career path going to lead me, or thinking these are all kind of like important things. But like the less I'm involved in thinking about that, and more thinking about how I can be of service or just be nice and help people and just try and think of others more, I'm happy. I'm a happy person. But then the ego comes in and is like, yes, but you've got the mortgage and you want to go on holidays and you want a nice car, and it's like, and it's like, how do you do that? And that's another thing as well. It's like, we need to earn money. It's a system that we live in, which is a system. It's quite an oppressive system if you look at it from an outside point of view. And there's done some research into new ways and new systems that could work for humanity, and there's one in particular called Ubuntu, and it's a South African guy, and it's called One Small Town, and he set a complete new system up that was geared at everyone helping each other, kind of like collaboration, and you put a few hours a week in each into your chosen vocation to help the community, and the rest of the time is yours, and like the majority of the time is yours, so that you can go off and be creative and whatever you want to do. And it worked an absolute treat. And the reason it hasn't massively expanded, I don't know if you want to talk about this too much, but the reason it hasn't massively expanded is because of the money system that we currently have, and that in its current state needs a lot of money to be able to be rolled out on a larger scale, and then obviously globally, but we're not there yet. But hopefully, and I think we are heading in that sort of direction where maybe potentially we're not going to have money in the future. But, it's not going to be needed, and technology is going to ramp up, and AI is probably going to ramp up, and I think hopefully in line with that, so is our own consciousness, and we'll be able to do things like telepathy and telekinesis again, hopefully at some point, and we won't even have to sit here and talk like this with our mouths. We'll just know what each other are thinking. Maybe that's going to come again in the future. I don't know. But it's kind of candy, isn't it, to think like that? I love thinking like that. But we kind of have to deal with what we've got at the moment, don't we, and do the best we can. So.
Let's talk a little bit about limiting and self-limiting beliefs that we have, which I guess is also in the realm of kind of consciousness and the subconscious. I think that area became of interest to me, certainly, partly because of recovery, because you start like doing things like meditation. I remember I tried to meditate before I came into recovery because it was suggested by whatever I was consuming media-wise at the time, to do mindfulness for 10 minutes, and then think, I feel great. I mean, I think it had a bit of a benefit just in terms of maybe just feeling a little less busy, but I wasn't connecting to anything, which now is, well, I certainly don't feel like I'm always connecting when I meditate, but at least I put the action in and I try, and sometimes you feel connected, sometimes less so because you're a bit tired or whatever. But obviously since doing that, I've sort of, talk about how, there's like Dr. Joe Dispenza at the moment who you know about, and he's talking about how we can, like, if we get our conscious mind and our subconscious to talk to each other, we can manifest anything. Essentially, I believe that. I really do believe that. True, I think it's huge. It's like
they do say that. They do say our thoughts literally create our reality. And I know, like, it's funny because Lauren, my girlfriend, she might be saying and talking a bit about her, is that she's a huge influence on me, and she's I think for me she's she's quite knowledgeable, but I think she has a lot of inner knowing. It's not necessarily knowledge based. It just feels things and kind of knows things from a feeling perspective, which I don't have as much. And I'm always envious of that. I was like, I wish I had that more. I wish I did. But literally, if it's funny, like we're on a holiday, for example, and we had a bit of a row, basically, and it's just undealt with resentment. Right? Undealt with it. Yeah. It just kind of built up, and it was over nothing. It was over like a bottle of water and having to wait for a bottle of water. It was ridiculous. But it was like quite a full-blown row. And then after the row, my point I want to make was, when we were walking through the streets of Budapest, for example, and we weren't really feeling great, and we were feeling a bit moody, we were feeling a bit grumpy, and like, you've annoyed me, I'm a bit upset with you, I'm upset with you. It's interesting what comes at you from the outside, like the sorts of people, interactions that you have. Flowing through the city. So it was just like,
so true.
They're so rude here in Budapest. God dear, they're so short-tempered, and they go, oh God, I don't think I'm going to be coming back here. How much for that vegan burger? Jeez. It's all that, and it's like, and I'm starting to judge, and like, it's interesting. And Lauren said it was like, isn't it interesting? It's like that, but when we're good, it's a lovely place to be, and everyone's really nice, aren't they? And everyone's actually really helpful and smiley and friendly. I had a really nice time. That's good value, and that was a lovely hotel, and everything just sort of flows. Whereas when we're not in that alignment, but that's alignment within ourselves. That's not alignment within the relationship, although there is that. But I think that's just alignment within ourselves, and relationship or not. I was just using that as an example.
It's the lens that we're viewing. How we're viewing things.
Exactly, mate. So we're reviewing things through resentment or fear, then guess what comes back? And it does come back like that. If I'm driving, so I had a few weeks off work over Christmas, and it was enough time for me to fully sort of like thaw out from work, because the last 2 months of last year was so intense work-wise. It was really, really busy, and it was impacting my peace of mind. I was feeling the pinch on it. And I had to ring my boss and say, I need to cap my points. This is too much. I need to have some time off. And we had a conference up in Birmingham a few days ago, and I thought, I drove up there and drove back, and during the drive I thought, I'm just going to sit in the slow lane on the motorway. I'm not going to be in a rush, because what I've learned is, from that bit of period of time off, 90% of the time I'm rushing around, but for what? That report doesn't, it's fine, it can wait. It doesn't need to be in at exact time. It's like, you can relax a little bit. And it was lovely, and I literally just drove back all through southeast London, coming in on the A2, and everyone sort of seems to be quite pleasant. You get the odd one, don't you? But everyone else driving seems to be quite pleasant. I mean, it's such a nicer time. But when I'm in a rush, and what I'm doing is really important, and I need to get where I need to get to on time, then you know how much work I've got to do and all of that. And it's funny then what comes back at you behind the wheel as well. It's like people giving you the effing behind and hooting at you, and it's just and I know where I'd rather be.
That's definitely difficult with the line of work that you do as well, because it's like target based, and you need to drive to places. And actually we learn that patience is like actually a really great attribute to have. But if you work in a job which doesn't, and also it doesn't help that we're quite all, like, I don't want to speak on behalf of anyone that's in recovery, but I think there's a common thread of people being quite all or nothing, like intense, like, and then it that's like nothing.
Yeah, can't relate. No.
Which isn't always a bad thing, but like I think sometimes we don't know when to ease off a bit.
Happy medium, find a bit of a balance, and it's tricky, isn't it? Balance of all things is what we need, isn't it? Everything. But I was it can be good, I guess. I was addicted to cycling for probably about 4 years. I had such a good body. I really did. I showed you the pictures before our meeting here, and even you looked on with envy. I saw your eyes. No, jokes
I
aside.
thought it was more funny the fact that they were selfies that you were sending to.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, to send to my mate Lou.
It was the calves without any other part of your body.
Yeah, they were defined. They're not so defined now. But no. But yeah, no, it's that balance, isn't it? It's a tough one because you have got, and that's what I mean is like, it's not necessarily purposefully designed to take you out of your alignment, but it really can jolly well make it easy to take you out of alignment with these high-paced, high-paced, but a high level of sort of expectation and responsibility. You know, I'm a surveyor signing off valuation reports and stuff like that. If I make little mistakes, that can come back on me, and I can get sued, and I can get struck off, and I can lose my RICS status. Surveyors get sued all the time. And this is the law side of it, and that alone is enough to make you go like, oh God, I've got to get this right the entire time. You know, it's good.
That's an element I didn't even consider.
It's and I found, and like Lauren says, like you like getting OCD. Like I've locked the flat door, and I'm standing there like checking the, like Nick, it's locked. Let it go, you know. And that's a new thing as a result. It's come off the back of having to make sure these reports are absolutely. So yeah, who knows how long it'll last and what I do next, because I probably will do something else, but for now it's serving a purpose. And I had a sort of galactic, this is going to be quite woo-woo, but I had a galactic reading about what my purpose should be in this life.
Okay.
And it was based around potentially showing businesses that actually a 4-day week can be as productive, if not more, than a 5-day. And I've been saying that for the last 2 years to people in our group. So I'm alright, but it'd be nice if we had a 4-day week, wouldn't it? I mean, it's funny that I've been saying that to people, and this lady Debbie Solaris that I had the the Akashic record reading with, she said that's actually, I strongly see you doing something around that in the next sort of few years, not quite yet. I was like, wow, okay, that would be cool, because that's something that's really, I feel like I want to be really practical in how I can help.
Right.
You know?
In terms of like people's productivity.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be like that, does it? Because, you know, if everything's energy or everything's conscious, it's like you can just, by being here and being nice is helping, but sort of I want to do like something practical, and I feel like that could be something that I can really help people. Because you just got to look around and you just see people going in on a Monday morning, and it's just, you know, it could be my perspective. We might be really happy. I don't know, but I think a lot of people are kind of just.
You've got a job, right, where you can sort of, you're just trusted to get the job done, and you can kind of work when you want. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a relative amount of freedom, which I think is why I'm doing it. Really, is I've chosen this job, consciously or unconsciously, whatever. Yeah. Because we want freedom, and I want freedom from the system, and I'm a bit of an anarchist really at heart. I don't want to conform. No. I'd love to have something like this Ubuntu thing that I've touched on, you know, in our world. But as and when. But yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? Like, just I keep sort of going back to recovery, but like in certain recovery circles, it's like, you know, if you go to like a road to recovery type meeting where like it's kind of, and I see why, it's like trying to get people from the gutter, you know, to conform, to put on a suit and tie, to go to work and do that 9 to 5, even though people are miserable doing that sort of work.
I think it's good, some level of conformity, isn't it? I think when you're that wayward in terms of your lifestyle and what your life choices are, I think some conformity is good, and some strong guidance.
Structure
is good. I think structure is good at a point in some people's lives.
Yeah.
It was in mine, and I was very wayward and just sort of, because of my lifestyle, obviously pre-AA, and then you get this very rigid structure of these are the daily suggestions. They're suggestions, but we know what suggestions mean, and it's like this is what you do, and you know, it's almost like if you don't do it, then you can find someone else to help you, and like you can go, oh my god, you know, my help's going to go away. I better do this stuff, and like it sort of does push you into kind of like conforming and doing the stuff, but. So I think it can be useful at times, but I also think that to have, I think we just need a bit more freedom. I think as humans, I think we're just so wrapped up and caught up because we need to earn the money and do this stuff, and we do get caught up with things, and me especially, I'm not devoid from that. But I think what this job may be, and this is something that Debbie said to me, was teaching me, is the feeling of feeling like the grind, the 9 to 5, and that, and like there is a better way, there is another way, and it's just kind of like how do we do it, and what do we do, what does it look like, don't know yet, but
I mean that's what I guess, think this is something that like has been a inner, I wouldn't say struggle, but when you know there is another way because you've experienced it, like the notion of doing 9 to 5 just doesn't seem, because what I think a lot of people are longing for is not just financial freedom. They want freedom of being able to work when you want, go where you want,
and some people
and
have
earn as much money as you want.
Yeah, and there's quite a few people have that. A few people love their job, they have creative jobs, they earn loads of money, and they're loving it. I'm not talking for everyone here, but I think I'm talking for the majority. I mean, obviously, if we didn't need money, then what would we be doing? Like my first sponsor said to me, like, when I said to him, I'm not really sure what I want to do for work and stuff. He's like, well, what would you, if money was no object, what would you do? And it's kind of like easy to say, but the back of your mind's like, yeah, but money is a big object, and we need a lot of it if we're going to live in London and have a nice lifestyle.
Yeah.
Even if you're renting a room in London nowadays, you need to find £600-700 a month. It's a lot of money, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we need that money. So it's kind of all very well. I'm like, it's all very well you saying that, mate, but but for a while I think I probably honoured it, and I just rode my bike for a living. That's because I was loving cycling at the time. I was like, well, what do I want to do? I know, I'd have to ride my bike for a job, and it was a bike career, and I loved it. I did it for 6 months until I got the sack for leaving a test tube of blood in my bag overnight, which should have gone into the HCA lab, but I forgot. Sorry about that. They let me go, but yeah, and rightly so. But it was wicked fun. I was earning nothing. I wasn't earning nothing. I was earning some money, but I was living in a bed sit in Brixton, and I probably some of the happiest days of my life. I was having literally no money. I was just riding my bike, and I was on a walkie-talkie. I felt I was really cool and doing my thing. And the house I was living in was not good, very run down. There's a very, very angry Italian man downstairs who was often in a wheelchair that would he's and there was another guy in there that got involved with the police. It was not great. Because I was in such a good place inside, and that's what I'm talking about, external stuff and inside job, like it didn't really matter, it didn't really faze me. I was just really, really good.
Would you say those are the happiest? Oh, but got to be careful here.
Yeah. Some people are watching, yeah, be careful, yeah. I think
it does beg the question though, doesn't it? Like,
I think it's the most free I've ever felt in my life. So you relate that to happiness, whatever, but I mean happiness is like, you can incorporate all sorts of emotions, can't it? But it's definitely the most freedom I've felt in my life was doing that job, because it didn't feel like a job to me. And I think that's what he was going on about. My original sponsor was like, that's the nail on the head. Like if you find the job that you feel like it doesn't feel like a job, it just feels like having fun every day, and that's what it was like. It literally was like that. Even when it was raining, I was just loving it. Smashing everyone in. I used to go to the Tour de Commute, so my ego loved beating everyone. All the commuters going into their office jobs was like, I'm so much fitter. Yeah, that's my ego. They'd absolutely smash me now because I'm nowhere near as fit as I was. But yeah, it's good fun. So maybe I should go back to doing that, but I don't know. But no, I feel like that sort of that was then. This is now, but yeah, we'll see what happens this coming year. 2020 is supposed to be some big changes and all sorts going on.
So I want to talk a little bit about veganism.
Okay.
Because I started getting into it actually after meeting you, I sort of I sort of was curious about it. And yeah, first of all, what made you go that way?
I let my ego do the talking on that one. It was all about vanity, so I just wanted to be lean, long term, lean all the time. That was it. It was literally ego. All honesty, I'd love to say I know it was all about the animals and the ethical reason. No, it wasn't, mate. It was that I wanted to look at myself in the mirror and go, yeah, you look good all the time.